Welcome back. It's Monday, October 3rd. This is Kutaki Podcast Episode 2. I'm Shawn, and I'm the host of the show. And today we're just going to touch a little bit on Japanese news, actually, to start off the show. I was just out and picked up the Daily Yomiuri, which is one of the major English language newspapers here in Japan. And with the world news, of course, they're talking about the terrorism in Bali. But with some more local news, there was a little bit of a surprise with a bit of violence that happened in Japan. Whereas most people think of Japan as a very safe place, there are occasional things that hit the news. I see a pharmacist was killed by an ex-employee after an argument. That was in Osaka. There were some air gun attacks, followed up by 7 copycat attacks. That was also in Osaka. And again in Osaka, there were 2 carjackings that occurred just 15 minutes apart from each other. Osaka, as some people may know, is kind of well known for its big mafia population, so maybe that kind of contributes to that scene that's happening down there. Quite a busy day for the Osaka Police Department. The next thing we're going to move into is part 2 of the interview with Thomas Franzén that we had in episode 1. We kind of picked up where we left off, and we're just going to jump right into that now. Today we're going to just continue on where we left off before, and we had been talking a bit about Thomas's early days of training. I was wondering if you could maybe tell us a bit more about, say, the training that you've been doing in the last 5 or 10 years.
Okay, so basically I started to come to Japan in the year of 2000.
Okay.
And I decided then to be very frequent. So I'm coming to Japan about, or at least 3 times a year now.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, it is, and I feel it's necessary to have a chance to keep up with the pace here.
Okay. And what made you start coming to Japan, say, in 2000, when you had really been training so early?
Well, I think, like I said in the last interview, that I first started out with Bo 30 years ago.
Okay.
And then I practiced with Steven for many years.
I see.
And actually, after that time, I just felt fed up with what I was doing with this Budo.
Oh, really?
So I took a break for maybe 4 years.
Okay.
And I took up dancing at that time, actually.
Oh, really? Dancing?
And through the dancing, actually, I got to meet a person who brought me back into the Budo, which was quite nice.
Oh, so you came full circle again.
Yeah. So I think this is very important to understand that when you find yourself straying off the path, and if you think of the background and with who I was studying back then, it's quite natural that I actually went off track a bit.
Okay.
So it doesn't take much of a distortion in the beginning, like 1/2 degree off in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And you will eventually find yourself very far away from the path.
Okay.
And my body was feeling this, and I didn't feel well about it, so I dropped out.
Okay.
Which was also very good.
Uh-huh. So it sounds like you used your time off wisely as well.
Yeah, it looked like it, or maybe I was just lucky to get back on track to meeting this person.
Yeah, okay.
So luck is also something that has to be considered.
That's true. What made you suddenly decide to start coming back in the year 2000?
Oh, so after when I came back into training again after those years of dancing, I felt a very strong urge to practice this Budo again. So I decided then to go to Japan, I think it was in 2000. And actually this man who brought me back through dancing, he came with me at that time.
Oh, so that's when we first met, actually, the two of us.
That's right.
I met you when you came over at that time.
That's right.
Okay.
And from that time on, I just decided that, I have to do this. Mm-hmm. So I have to go at least 3 times a year, and I just made up my mind, basically.
Great.
Yeah.
And you've been coming here very regularly ever since.
I am, and I will continue.
Cool. Well, I guess maybe you hadn't seen Hatsumi Sensei for a little while. Was there any kind of difference in the impression that you had between, say, when you had seen him in the US and when you came over to Japan and trained here?
Yeah, certainly, because what I remember from meeting Hatsumi in the early 80s in the States was that he was technique was perfected, like perfect body movement or whatever you would say.
Okay.
This is the way I remember it, but of course I was also very young at the time,
I see.
so I could see him only through the eyes of a young man,
Mhm.
but he looked like perfection.
Mhm.
And when I start coming to Japan, he was more like a ghost in a way, moving less, doing more.
Okay.
If I should put it in a, with a few words, it's
Mhm.
like he was actually getting more things done with less effort.
Okay.
This is my general feeling.
Even more than before when you've
Much
seen him.
more, yeah.
Yeah. So you feel that he's continued to keep improving himself then?
I'm 100% sure that he is still practicing and refining his Budo, yeah.
Great. What was it that you noticed that he had changed in that way, and did that inspire you at all? Was that what inspired you to start coming back so frequently after 2000?
Well, that, and also maybe on a deeper level, I can say that the Budo started to feel like some kind of appetite to me.
Okay.
That, when you're getting hungry,
Mhm.
your body just tells you, go eat, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to think about that.
Right.
Your mouth starts watering up and, your system tells you, go and have something to eat.
Uh-huh.
And it's actually in this way that I can feel. And even though I'm here 3 times a year,
Mhm.
when I'm home and there's maybe 3 or 4 months passing
Mhm.
between my trips, I can actually feel this coming to me now and then, like, you need to go eat,
Yeah.
like, and I follow simply this feeling
Well, it's very,
without thinking too much.
very natural.
Yes, I
Yeah.
think so.
Okay, great.
But I cannot really tell you why this is or so.
Mhm.
It's just something that I rely on, and I nowadays I have a strong feeling that practicing this Budo is something very important,
Mhm.
even though I cannot tell you what the importance would be. Really,
Okay.
I just have this sense,
Mhm.
and I trust in this.
I see. I understand that you have your own business in Stockholm, and I was wondering if you have any thoughts about the application of your Budo training to, say, your business or work life.
Yeah, probably. I think if you study some kind of art, in this case Budo, if you do it thoroughly, I think of course you will learn a lot about yourself,
Mhm.
which is like one of the main things. And if you know yourself quite well, you will also know others.
I see.
And if you do business, well, it's crucial to know your, the other one that you're doing business with.
Right.
So of course this is helping in all kinds of relationships. I think this is very good actually.
Okay. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Since coming back and training 3 times a year, what have the priorities of your own training changed? Have the things that you think are important in the training for Budo, have those things changed themselves?
I would think so, but it might sound strange, but it's more like I'm tending to think less and less.
Interesting.
Because before I had more of a goal maybe or an idea,
Mhm.
but I think the more I come here, actually I tend to think less about this, and I simply practice,
I see.
and I just enjoy class,
Mhm.
and I like Soke always tells us, you shouldn't come here to remember and bring back, and it's just the feeling I have actually. I just come here, I enjoy training, and that's it. And actually I cannot remember what I did here.
Okay. Well, I suppose it's sinking in somehow, unconsciously anyway.
Hopefully, yes.
Yeah,
And
okay.
hopefully in this way the right things will stuck to you.
Mhm.
If you use your intellect, you have a tendency, I think, to make things stay with you that you like yourself.
Mhm.
And this Buddha is much smarter than you.
Oh, interesting thought.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna be running short a bit on time here, so I think we're gonna wrap the interview up at this point.
Okay.
It's been really great having you on for the last 2 episodes, and I look forward to talking to you again in future.
Thank you very much.
Thanks
It's been a
very much.
pleasure.
Thank
you.
For everyone that doesn't know, Thomas has a dojo in Stockholm, Sweden. The URL address of that dojo is www.budogruppen.nu, and that's BUDOGRUPPEN.NU. It's in Stockholm, and Thomas has told me that if anyone is ever visiting the Stockholm area and would like to train, you are more than welcome to drop by. So please use the contact information on his website to let him know if you'll be in town. I've had the privilege myself of being able to visit Sweden a few times in the last 3 or 4 years, and have been to Thomas's dojo myself. Had the honor of being there, as well as to a few other places and other dojos in Sweden, and have been really happy with the great training that I've seen there, and hopefully we'll be able to talk more with Thomas and with instructors from some of the other dojos in Sweden and other countries in future Kutaki podcasts. It might be a wee bit early to start talking about this, but I see that Ohashi-san has updated his website with some new Daikomyosai information, with some dates and things, and if I'm not mistaken, the Daikomyosai rush may have already begun.
Behold, the horde of Genghis Khan approaches.
The information on Ohashi-san's site says that the training for Daikomyosai is going to be November 29th, 30th, and December 1st, and that's a Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. The training times are listed as being from 10 to noon and from 2 to 4 in the afternoon. So there's 4 hours of training each day, and the place will be at the big dojo in Ayase, the one with the tatami floor. The Daikomyosai party is listed as being on December 2nd at some point in the evening, which hasn't been decided yet, and the location for that will probably be at Hombu Dojo. If you have any specific questions about the schedule itself or registration, please contact Ohashi-san directly at hombu-at chief.so-net.ne.jp, which is his email address. It's probably also not too early to just give a reminder to people who may be visiting Japan at the moment or planning to come for Daikomyosai or sometime between now and Daikomyosai, that it's a time when the dojo becomes very crowded and garbage, shoes, and piles of luggage and things like this do become a problem and tend to clutter up the dojo. So if there is a way that you can control the amount of extra stuff that you're bringing to the dojo, that would be greatly appreciated by everyone. Again, it's also good to carry around a plastic bag with you so that if you do have any garbage that you create along the way, that you can have a place to put that and take care of it yourself. There are no trash cans available at Hombu Dojo. Getting back to the podcast itself, I just want to thank everyone for the positive feedback that was left on the Kutaki website about episode 1. There was a comment by someone about maybe including some music, which I would be happy to do if someone could maybe point me to some royalty-free music that I can use without fear of being sued by the artists or some recording association. Also, I'm sure that we have some very talented musicians in the Bujinkan, and if you or someone you know is into music, plays music, produces music, and would like that played on the Kutaki podcast, please let me know. I'm sure the podcast would be a great way to share your music with other people in the Bujinkan community. In the meantime, here's Secret Dakota Ring with Open Your Mouth.
Try, but we need to get home.
And believe it or not, that's actually the way that the song ends on the website that I downloaded it from. And I'm sure that's what I get for downloading free-to-use, royalty-free music. So again, if anyone has any music to suggest or to shoot my way, please feel free to do so. In the meantime, someone talk to Norako and tell him to get his butt in gear and get another episode of his podcast out to listen to. For now, I'm signing off. This is the end of episode 2. Have a good day.